Okay, Beyond the Gates fans. So first of all, congratulations to the cast, to the producers, to of course the writers slash creators of the show in the first place for airing episode 100. I mean, we're about to go into the month of August, and honestly, it feels like yesterday that Beyond the Gates made its debut. What was it, like the last or second to last week of February? And if memory serves, according to news I remember seeing a couple weeks ago, well, number one, the show was renewed for season two. That was something that happened a couple months ago. And I believe a bunch of sources online were like, season one will consist of 200 episodes. So we've made it to the halfway point. And for that, again, just congratulations. And it's been quite the ride. I was iffy about entering the soap opera game, not sure if this was something I would be good at, but the soap community was very supportive. And, those who rock with my Tyler Perry content were like, Jeremy, with as in-depth as you go with the Tyler Perry stuff, we know you'll excel in the soap world. And, well, here I am. Episode 100 review. I can't believe I made it this far, but here we are, 100 episodes. Unfortunately, I was not able to watch this episode live. I was busy, and to be completely honest, I'm kind of glad I didn't. Look, that's not to rag on this episode. I know a lot of people online were really disappointed. This is the 100th episode, like no Nicole, no Danny, just the same old stuff with Doug and the people who despise the Ashley and Andre stuff. And we got a lot of Tomas and Eva and Kat stuff as well. And I'll say that I can't give this a 10 out of 10. I would love to for, 100 episodes, but that's not how I do my scoring. I'll give this one like a 7 out of 10. Just because it feels like, I feel like Eva is a yo-yo. I've made my feelings about Eva clear a lot. I know there are those who do support her, but for me, there's always that line of, you understand because Leslie is her mom, but at what point does Eva decide to cut the strings? Because I honestly don't see the reason for her to constantly allow herself to be manipulated. I mean, the secrets are out, and it's just like, I don't know. Honestly, what made me want to give this episode a 6 was, yet again, people specifically Ted, just making it seem like Kat is the problem. Kat, you need to be nicer to Eva. Kat, you need to squash the beef. And if I may, just to take a moment, this is just like season 7 and 8 of Tyler Perry's Sisters, where the writers were making it like, Fatima, you need to play nice with Karen. Fatima, be cool. Fatima, don't stress her out. And it's like, why is Fatima always the one that has to kind of bow down and kiss the ring when Karen is the one that usually starts all the drama and the shit? Basically being disrespectful and whatnot. Yet in order to quote unquote maintain peace, the person on the receiving end of any animosity, disdain, disrespect has to just, what's that expression? Let it flow like the water off a duck's back or whatever, or turn the other cheek. It doesn't make sense. And the same thing applies here, where Ted always talks down to Kat, like, Kat, you know better. Kat, it's like, come on now. Come on. But I'll talk about that more later. So yeah, I'll give this one about a 7 out of 10. Let me know your thoughts on that score. If you agree with it, do you score it lower? Do you score it higher? And as always, make sure you take a moment to like and subscribe. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description. And let's dive in. So we start off at the diner, and June isn't happy that Naomi and Jacob have her sister Regina up in there. So Jacob is like, hey, how about some, good old sweet lemonade to kind of take the edge off, and they could talk things through. Now, the thing about it, June doesn't want to live a bothered life at all, and she notices that, Regina has the photo of the kids declaring that the picture is hers. And it's like, well, I mean, you can have more than one copy of a picture. It's like, So Naomi is wondering like what's the tension about, and that's when Regina reminds June that you're the one who gave me the picture in the first place. And then June says she's lying, and it says she only found the picture. Now the thing is, Regina just takes a moment to like wonder what's wrong for her sister. Like, do you not even recognize them as your own kids? And that's when June pretty much counters, saying that, you know what, this is all ridiculous. I don't have any kids. And then, Regina claps back about, well, that's because you threw away your kids like they were trash. So there's no telling where they ended up right now. So from there, Naomi and Jacob try to de-escalate the situation, but they keep going back and forth, back and forth. And June is just flabbergasted that Regina complained about how hard it is to deal with an addict. So, I mean, this pretty much confirms what we already knew. And that's when June is like, I don't need any of y'all. And then she just leaves. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, the people that work at this diner, I feel like they see more drama, specifically Dupree or Eva Leslie drama. Yeah, you know what? You know what it is? The country club is, Lord, a fast food chain like a Burger King or McDonald's, where you might occasionally see a bit of a brawl or some sort of debate. But Orphe Jean's Diner, this is more like the Waffle House, if nothing else, where it doesn't matter where you sit, in a booth, at one of the open tables in the middle of the floor, or if you sit at the counter, you're going to get a show. Lunch, breakfast, dinner, you're going to get a drama. Sometimes you might be included in the brawl. Like, I'll never forget that poor white dude who was just sitting in the booth with his buddy, and next thing you know, he's getting crushed with Nicole choking Leslie. It's like you never know what you're going to see or hear. Now, back to the sorry about that tangent there. All right, so Regina's like, yeah, this is how she always does. We've been trying for years, and June always throws it away anytime we try to, help her with any progress. On a personal level, my aunt on my mom, well, basically my mom's sister, my aunt, she passed about 6 or so years ago. But, she was a bit of a mental case herself. So a lot of the things, not an addict, but she had mental issues. And just looking at June's behavior, this, it's very familiar. I know what it's like to deal with that kind of thing. So Jacob and Naomi are just confused by this, but Regina just says, look, it is best if you just kind of like let this whole thing go. Just don't contact me anymore. I'm done with it. So she leaves. And from there, we go over to Ashley. Well, actually, I'm sorry. Even though Regina says to let it go, she's dealing with two people who don't know how to let anything go. So it's very unlikely that Jacob and especially Naomi are just going to let this slide. Now, we go over to the Paris date, and Ashley's impressed that Andre decorated, this place in such a short amount of time to accommodate her dream location. And from there, she hates it whenever he's like selfless and insightful with her, to the point of just telling her not always what she wants to hear, but what she needs to hear. And he's like, well, hey, no overthinking. Put your brain on timeout and just pretend me and you are in Paris right now. And he pulls out the champagne. And tonight is a night of yeses. So I'm like, oh, snap. So from there, they, I think he got the food from a local bistro. Yeah, to really help with the Paris atmosphere. And in order to avoid, and honestly, I don't blame him for doing this. To avoid awkward encounters with the wrong people in public, he opted to just, get takeout. And it's funny how, going back to my episode 99 review, where I mentioned how some people are like, you know what, how is Andre going through all this effort putting together this date for Ashley, but he never did anything like that with Danny. And I'm not going to go into the whole, tangent I did in the last review. I simply said, well, that's because Andre didn't have to, nor did it seem like Danny wanted it. Andre was just a booty call whenever Danny was in her feelings about something. Nor did she want to go out in public with him. But in Ashley's case, Andre is able to do the things to her, and I'm not talking about the physical. Basically, he's doing the things for Ashley that he would have been more than happy to do for Danny, but it was never really like that. And when it comes to not going out for dinner, yeah, it makes sense because what Danny didn't want to be seen with Andre because of awkward encounters. And when Andre and Ashley went on their first date at Uptown, it was nothing but a huge awkward encounter. So he took a play from his Danny playbook and it's like, yeah, let's just order takeout. So from there, she does admire a photo of a red balloon, and he mentions how he saw it in the morning and he got the perfect shot. Simply put, he recounts it towards the memory of his parents about how quickly life can change because he lost them and just, out of nowhere. So you have to take advantage of the now. And she mentions how she needs more of that in her life. So he actually hands her a balloon and he says, like, well, sometimes you can just nudge life. And she asks for a copy of the photo so she can remember, this night. And that's when he mentions, like, so what would you like for dessert? Surprise me. And I remember somebody on Twitter is like, nah, Ashley, this is where you need to say you. And that would have been, So they actually have a little dance around the room. And she does mention before they go too far that I need to go home. So he offers to walk her to the car. And I feel like deep down she probably wanted to stay, but not to push things too far. Now we go over to the casino and Vanessa shows up. That's when Joey's like, I wish you were naked right now. I don't know. Joey got one thing on his mind. But that's when Vanessa's like, nah, I'm here only on business. So from there, he's not happy when she tells him about the fact that someone outbid him on a property that they were going to get, for the money laundry. And the thing is, she's like, instead of a bidding war, let's just go to another property. And the thing is, he agrees, but says that we need to find a way to speed up this other project because of the fact that I have well-placed friends to displace any sort of attention once we get going. And once the business talk has stopped and they are about to get frisky, lo and behold, Doug comes in feeling lucky. And then that's when Joey gives some wise advice / words of caution saying that, yeah, don't you think you've taken enough risk? I think you ought to bounce. And then that's when this fool decides to sit down at the table and ask the dealer to, throw him some cards. But that's when Vanessa rightfully points out, you promised you were done with gambling. And then Joey tells the dealer, to get up out of there. So then Doug says, and I don't know what, look, dude is a cuckold at this point, and he ought to just be glad that his debts are going to be repaid through the business venture that his wife entered into with Joey. So for him to just constantly pop up like this, shooting off, at the mouth, thinking like he's all big and mad and whatnot. Bro, like, what are you doing, Doug? What are you doing? So he always tries to make these jabs towards, Vanessa and Joey about their sexcapades and whatnot. And that's when he just goes too far to the point where Joey pulls a big... what's funny? It's the fact that, I think, what was that line? What did he say? It's like, you know what? I'm an important person. And then I love how Vanessa's like, yes, you are. I demand respect. And the thing is, Doug was on that Eddie Kane energy from the 5 Heartbeats. And he's looking at Joey like, Flash, like, you're trying to take my spot. Well, essentially, rather than the leader of the singing group, basically, you're trying to take my woman. Bro, he's already taken her several times. And not even taking her, some of the time she's the one that gives it up to him. But the thing is, Doug decides that enough is enough. And he threatens to go to Elon with what he knows about, Joey's operation. And then Vanessa, tells Joey like, oh, don't worry. He's just talking out the ass. He's drunk right now. And that's when Doug, tells Joey, I don't like games. And then he just decides to bounce. And then Joey tells one of his thugs, like, you know what? You need to plant a bug on Doug's car. And that's not a dumb thing to do because dude's talking out his ass right now. But that doesn't mean he's going to not do something reckless. Now, here we go over to the other conflicting part of the episode. So, turns out that Eva thanks Ted for the loan. And that's when he decides to ask about the whole accreditation relapse. And that's when Eva mentions that Kat was the one that set the whole thing up. And I just tried to move past it. And that's when Ted says that interfering with his business was crossing a line. And that's when that leads to Kat, and him having that conversation later in the episode where it's like, Ted seems more agitated by Kat interfering with his business to stick it to Eva than Eva infiltrating the family for weeks, if not months. And basically that's why he's in a hotel room right now instead of at home with his wife. So I just really don't know. Does Ted just not like Eva? Does Ted just not like Kat like that? And maybe he's so burdened with guilt of not being there for Eva that he's more willing to prop up this daughter who appeared out of nowhere versus the daughter he's known for her entire life. I don't know. But anyway, you got Leslie, essentially the equivalent of someone who just got their direct deposit. And instead of thinking about bills and whatnot and stretching out their, newfound money in the smartest ways possible, she's more concerned about the various purses she's going to buy. So, what's the point of buying a purse if you ain't got no money to put up in it? So that's when her daughter comes in there and mentions how Ted brought up the whole Kat thing. So pretty much you exposed her to him. And now he's going to blow up at Kat. And Leslie just feels like at this point, it's time for Kat to get a reality check. So from there, you could be the number one daughter by Kat losing Ted's approval. And it's like, damn, that's wild. So Leslie's schemes were to use Eva to low-key help her replace Nicole as the number one woman in Ted's life. And now, since that floundered, she wants Eva to replace Kat as the number one daughter. Damn. So Leslie then goes on and on about, Ted treating her like a doormat to just walk all over. But the moment Eva hands her that check, oh, you know what? This is awesome. This is great. This is great. But this isn't enough to last, because I have wants and needs and dreams. And she's on that laptop just showing Eva all the things she wants to buy. But of course, Eva doesn't like how any of this sounds, but she opts to just get up out of there. And I'm thinking to myself, this is ridiculous, Eva. You knew better. And I'm thinking like the $50,000, where the hell did it go? Now, first of all, Kat looked good in that blue. So Kat's at the country club about to do a workout, and Tomas is at the diner offering to bring her a treat. And he's like, hey, how about a drink later? But she's like, oh no, I'm too busy tomorrow and everything. And he offers to well, hey, you know what? How about this? We go out tonight and I'll have you home before midnight since you have a busy day tomorrow. And Kat does agree. And that's when her dad texts her about, coming over to see him. And of course, this is when we get to one of my least favorite moments of the episode where Ted chews her out about the whole going in on your sister. And yet again, Kat rightfully brings up, is like, why are you mad at me? Her and her mom are the one who schemed against, you and mom in the first place. And that's when he brings up the accreditation, and you can't change the past. But the thing is, she does say, you know what? I don't have to like her. Well, actually, no. It's like, Ted's like, you don't have to like your sister, but you got to leave her alone. And that's when Kat says, well, you know what? Bringing Eva aboard into your office is a mistake. And then she leaves. And this is like the 30th time this kind of thing has happened. I don't know. This Ted, man, I really don't know what the writers are doing with Ted. I'm semi frustrated. But let's be real. Ted isn't the only one in this boat. Because Nicole would do the same thing where Eva is like, she's fine, but Kat, no. So I don't really know how to feel about it. So Eva kind of gets hers once Tomas shows up, at the diner, and they have a hug where you can tell Eva's a bit more excited than Tomas. And he mentions how, yeah, Kat and I have cleared things up and we're back on, but he pretty much apologizes for the physical stuff that they did. And Eva's like, well, hey, you know what? I'm happy for you. And he's like, well, you know what? I'm glad nothing happened to us. And you were right to put on the brakes. So even though I'm very attracted to you, I'm in love with Kat. And then she's like, you talking about love? Pfft, you had sex, didn't you? So Tomas is like, well, hey, thanks for understanding. And that's when he decides to leave. And that's when he was, says, well, hey, go follow your heart. So she starts crying. And I'm like, I don't feel anything at all. No, I don't. Because I just always think back to what Kat said after the anniversary debacle, where remember when I tried to catch you on camera and my parents were there and you acted like you didn't do anything wrong. And when my parents sided with you, you were literally had that evil smirk on your face. That pretty much solidified it to Kat that Eva is never going to change. I'm not saying she's incapable of it, but no, she's always going to try to one-up Kat. And what was that one episode? This was a while ago, where I believe this was after Kat had taken the helmet and gloves from the hotel room. And Eva confronted her at the country club and pretty much, low-key admitted to her mom being the one that put Laura in the hospital and essentially told Kat, you can't get rid of my mom, you can't get rid of me, so just get used to it. And it's like, wait, what? So after that, we go over to the country club and Tomas, meets with Kat. He's all excited. This is kind of sad in a way, due to the fact that he's, all happy and whatnot, and you could tell she's kind of over it. But it's like, yeah, I wish I could just take you home right now and hold you all night. And yeah, that'll be really something. And, he's just flowering her with compliments and whatnot. And are you okay about what we did? And, maybe I could just take some time off and we can make it more romantic. And the thing is, it's about trust, Tomas. It's not about the setting or whatnot. And he's like, well, hey, waiting is what made it so meaningful and intense. So I feel like we're a real couple now. And he gives her a hug again. And you could just tell, like, she's like, this is just that, I just see those memes and reels all the time where it's like the way she looks at you before she friend zones you or blocks you or deletes your number and whatnot. That's essentially what's happening right now. I wonder at what point will Kat just go, Tomas, no, just no. No. And like I said, I don't feel bad for Kat because, again, you are an adult. You're the one that gave it up to him. And just because you didn't like it, well, oh well. I don't know what to tell you. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Pretty solid episode. I wouldn't say like it's the best episode of the series now. I was going to do a video for the 100th episode and drop it on the same day, but I didn't get time. Look, I've been on the eBay grind selling these Pokemon cards. I need to make this fast money. But I wanted to do a video with like my top 10 favorite moments from the first 100 episodes. I'll probably still do it because if you go to my main channel, Our Kind of Entertainment, I really did a bunch of videos over the past week, most of which I was sitting on for months, but I finally got around to editing and posting. So essentially, with Divorced Sisters off the air because mid-season finale was last week, on my main channel currently, the only show that's actively on for me to review is Sisters every Wednesday. And of course, on this channel, it's the 5-day-a-week Beyond the Gate. So I do have time to kind of fiddle around and do some extra videos. Not too many now because, like I said, I really got to focus on the eBay grind. My birthday is August 29th, and it would be nice to have a little bit of extra money to maybe do something special. But aside from that, yeah, I wanted to get this video out and get your thoughts. Beyond the Gates 100 episodes. What do you think of the series so far? Like, what are some of your highlights and whatnot? And with that being said, I'll catch you all in the next video.